I'm Jen Brown from the Spirit Catholic Radio Network. I'm the co-host of Spirit Mornings, where I get a chance to talk with Marion Miner on a regular basis from the Nebraska Catholic Conference. Today we have a very important call to action.
Yeah, what we're talking about today is letting Catholics know, letting all people of goodwill in the state of Nebraska know just what is at stake with regard to this pro-abortion ballot initiative called Initiative 439. We're asking Catholics, and again, all people of goodwill, to vote against this initiative because it's dangerous and it's deceptive, it's unsafe, it's unregulated, and we think it's un-Nebraskan. So our job, a big part of our job has been to really help get people educated on why they ought to oppose this and vote against it, and to help educate others as well.
That's what you guys do so well at the Nebraska Catholic Conference. You represent the bishops in the state of Nebraska, and you're a voice for them on Capitol Hill. This is a very unique situation, what is going on, and this initiative 439, we want people to vote against, but we want to explain why they want to vote against it. And we want to explain, most importantly, language matters. There's a phrase in here, one of many phrases in this initiative, it says that all persons, and it covers all persons. What does that mean, Marion? It's so confusing.
Yeah, so the very beginning of the proposed language in this initiative is that all persons shall have what they call a fundamental right to abortion. The reason that the term all persons instead of all women is used is very intentional, and that's to extend this so-called fundamental right to abortion not only to adult women but to minor girls as well. And when that fundamental right to abortion extends not only to adult women but to minor girls, and that fundamental right to abortion that's created by this amendment is to be without restriction from the state, which is another phrase that's used, that endangers and in fact would wipe out all of our laws relating to not only parental consent before a minor daughter has an abortion, but even knowledge that she is pursuing that or has presented at an abortion facility.
We want women to be protected, and also if they're going through something difficult, if someone has a miscarriage, their baby is deceased, their baby has died, and they're going to get the care for a deceased child. That's what they're going to get care for. All medical personnel would care for a deceased child. An abortion is the opposite of getting care for a deceased child. So that's just one of the things where we can outline would be different in the language, that the disinformation that is coming forward.
There's simply no barrier to receiving legitimate medical care for an emerging problem, for an emergency situation that exists in Nebraska law right now. To the extent that that is something that motivates the way people think about this very extreme, very radical initiative that's being brought forward in Initiative 439, people need to be aware that Nebraska law allows for women to be taken care of as they have been for decades and as they still are.
Fetal viability. What does fetal viability mean? One, it's a field goal post that keeps moving as science moves, but for this written up initiative, it moves as well.
Yes, so people have some general understanding, some idea of what fetal viability means. And when they think about what fetal viability means, in most circumstances, what they're thinking about is, at what point in pregnancy could the baby be born? And with all that we have to bring to bear in a modern neonatal intensive care unit in a NICU setting, with all of that treatment, oxygen, food through a feeding tube, right? Because a baby until very late in pregnancy does not have the strength to nurse or to bottle feed. Temperature control, full-time attention by a devoted medical staff. All of these things are available in a NICU setting. So at what point could a baby be born and survive with all of this attention and all of this extraordinary medical care? That is what viability means to most people. And that is something in the range of 22 to 24 weeks gestation, 22 to 24 weeks into pregnancy. However, this initiative goes on to provide its own definition of fetal viability, which is very different from that. And in this initiative, in Initiative 439, they say that fetal viability is that point in pregnancy when, in the judgment of the treating healthcare practitioner, who may not be a physician, by the way, the baby has a chance at sustained survival outside the uterus, outside the womb, without the application of extraordinary medical measures. And by most accounts, extraordinary medical measures do include, medical technology that helps you breathe or gives you nutrition so that you can stay alive, that keeps your temperature under control so that you don't die of exposure. These things are all available in a modern NICU setting, but this is extraordinary medical care by most measures of that term. And certainly, if the person who's making the call is an abortion clinic employee, right? There's very little safeguard for any baby presented in that situation having the protection of the law if this is the definition of fetal viability we put into our Constitution.
The call to action on November 5th is for when people go into the voting booth, is that they vote against Initiative 439. To vote against Initiative 439. The language is deceptive. Will people see what the language is? What is the very first line that will read in Initiative 439?
In Initiative 439, the very first line that you'll see there is, all persons shall have a fundamental right to abortion. And it goes on there to qualify that and to break it out. But that is the easiest way, besides remembering the number 439, that's the easiest way to recognize the language, is that it creates for all persons shall have a fundamental right to abortion, is that first line. I think Nebraskans also have a reputation for and pride themselves on being compassionate people and on being people who have a lot of common sense. And so I think, again, if people took the time to not only educate themselves, but to educate others too about what this would entail, I think that this would be roundly rejected in November. And that's what I hope happens. But we really need everyone's help to help spread the word, to point people toward resources that they can use, many of which we produce at the Nebraska Catholic Conference. But it is certainly un-Nebraskan. It's radical. It's very radical. It's extreme. The consequences, the potential consequences are very bad, are not something that anyone would wish for or desire for anyone that they know. And so we have hope that Nebraskans will reject this, will vote against Initiative 439, but we really need everyone's help to get the word out.